This is Sam Motton, and with me is Jason Book, and in this video we're going to be reviewing Superman number 43, written by Gene Yang, and with art pencils by John Romita Jr., and this is part 3 of Before Truth, which is the storyline that takes place chronologically before the other Superman books. So, up until these issue 3s of the Truth stuff, I've been pretty happy with Truth overall. But I did feel like some of these part 3s kind of took a little dip. They kind of had some missteps in them. And that includes Superman 43 here. So I'm wondering, Jason, what your take on this issue was.
I actually liked it. I thought it was a lot better than the last issue. I found that there was enough going on story-wise that made it seem, interesting and original. A couple key things in there. I thought storytelling-wise, the artwork was a little bit better than the last issue. And I just like where things went, and I thought it was some interesting twists to kind of give us the reason why Superman's identity would be outed.
Yeah, so spoiler alert here, we're going to be talking about this actually had the big reveal in it now of Lois Lane revealing Superman's identity to everybody. But let's work up to that a little bit. So
Sure.
The issue opens where we get a little bit of a kind of respite, some downtime where they've all gathered, Jimmy and Condessa and Lois and Superman have gathered together, and they have a little bit of rest before the excitement kind of continues up. So what did you make of those first scenes in the kind of...
I thought they were good. Like, this Gene Yang guy seems to have a good grasp on kind of telling a human side of these tales, like giving Superman more of what a realistic, what would happen if somebody actually went through these things. So I like the interaction between the characters. I like the part where Jimmy Olsen inadvertently was carrying like a nanobot that, jumps into a cell phone and all this stuff and had puked it up. Like, to me, that's really bizarre, but it's really original, and I hadn't seen that before, and I like that continuation from the story before. So, honestly, I liked it a lot better.
Yeah, so that I liked the dynamics between the characters. I think, you just have these four people in a room and nothing action-wise happens except for the puking.
Yeah.
But there is these dynamics of the interactions that they're having. Like, Jimmy has this guilt. And I do agree with you about Jimmy's kind of part in this, because Jimmy was saying, like, man, I hope I didn't inadvertently reveal your secret or, like, let Hoarder figure it out from me, because Jimmy had recently learned about the secret.
Yeah.
And I think what was some nice writing was Jimmy was worried about inadvertently letting out that secret or doing some harm by accident. And Superman said, like, no, it wasn't you. And Condessa said, like, no, they had already figured it out.
Yeah.
But then Jimmy had inadvertently, like, let this mechanical little gizmo guy into the apartment.
Yeah. There's a funny bit of writing, too, with him saying about the latte. Don't ever accept a free latte or something like that.
Yeah, there were definitely some humor bits in there. I liked the discussion between Lois and Clark, where they, it took me a while to get into it, but once they were really talking about their feelings and, she started asking him some questions, I liked where that went, and it got some good character moments between the two of them.
Yeah.
But so there were also some spots in this apartment scene that I didn't like. So, first of all, when Lois was like, hammering these different questions at Superman, I know that what they were trying to do was say, like, Lois is a journalist, so she's going to be coming with the questions.
Right.
But a good journalist doesn't just rapid fire questions like that, because she didn't even give Superman a chance to respond.
True.
A good journalist actually gets their interviewee to talk.
That's
like,
right.
You just get them to open up. You don't just fire question after question after question.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I didn't really like how that started. Maybe she was just excited in the moment, and so she was maybe not using her best journalistic skills. But to me, it was more of like in the writing from Gene Yang was like he was trying to show that she's a journalist, but to me, he was inadvertently kind of misrepresenting a good journalist.
Right.
But after that, when they actually started opening up, then I actually liked the interaction between them. I did not like the reference to Superman's genitalia. I feel like that's like below a Superman book to even kind of mention that.
That was the what's her name? The tech girl said that,
Condessa,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I guess they're just trying to throw a bit of humor in there,
Yeah, I'm okay with some humor, and I think that that does fit into a Superman book, but I don't think it should actually be focused on Superman's genitals. Like, to me, it's kind of like, don't do that. Even if it's to try to compliment them, I feel like it still shouldn't even be mentioned, so.
Yeah, I hear you. I forgot about that, actually.
So that one kind of had me shrugging a little bit. Yeah. But then we go and, that through that cell phone bot thing, he crawls forward and takes control of the cell phone. And then that draws Superman into the next bit of action. So
Yeah.
I did like that stuff. I like the continuation of the Hoarder thing where it's
Yeah.
technology based. And now they're bringing in Superman, and it's not actually we get some of the motivation of why they're after Superman, and it's to try to do this energy collection thing, which I thought was
Right.
kind of a cool idea. It's not really related to information, but it's still kind of energy and information in the same gamut. And it made me remember back in when Superman was with the Justice League. I think it was in Superman 40, maybe right before this arc.
Yeah.
And the Justice League was testing out Superman's solar flare.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
some of them were saying like we could gather the energy and this might power the world, or a
Yeah.
city or something.
That's right. Yeah.
So
I
I
like
thought
that
this was
part as
nice
well.
to actually, like, Gene Yang maybe saw that from Jeff Johns and carried it forward as like, okay, here's a guy that's actually going to try to harness that energy.
Yeah, I like that part as well. I thought it was a nice continuation of what we've seen before.
Yeah, and so then did you take it to be that that's who the shadowy figure was in the last issue, was one of these collector guys who has like the energy collector suit?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, it kind of looked like it silhouette wise, and it kind of makes sense, and it's a cool idea. The only part I didn't like is that when we get to the reveal that I'm sure we're going to talk about here more, it seemed like they were already in the process of getting the energy from him. So isn't it a little bit too late for her to just do that,
Yeah, that's where I was wondering too. So I liked, so this issue to me was like stuff that I liked, but then there were some things in there that I didn't like. I was kind of like, felt like I was going back and forth through the issue.
Yeah.
But one thing that I liked was they brought back Lois's connection to Action Comics #2 from like the beginning of New 52 with the Torture strapping down Superman,
getting electrocuted
him.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, and the fact that General Lane was there, so Lois knew about it, and she like reacted very emotionally to that.
Yeah.
And now that she knows that was her friend in the chair, it's like even more potent now.
Yeah.
So I liked the parallelism of putting Superman back in a chair like that and having Lois like just really react strongly to seeing him like that.
Yeah,
So she wants to stop it. So I liked that way, bringing in that parallelism.
I totally agree too. And as someone who sometimes we think his art isn't as good as it's been on other books on here, when they show the actual art by Rags Morales or whatever there compared to how John Romita Jr. would draw, you could really see the difference, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that leads Lois to her big moment of revealing it, and she says, like, okay, I've already released your secret, so now Hoarder does not have the leverage over you, which is what we kind of expected she was going to do.
That's
as
right.
soon as we saw that Hoarder has the secret, we're like, well, Lois is probably going to reveal it to try to take away their bargaining chip.
Yeah, and I think that's a cool idea. Like, I wasn't 100% sure how it was going to happen. We knew it was going to be something about, them having that information. And, I mean, it makes sense in a way. I just think maybe with the timing of it, it could have been just a couple panels before, but maybe just for dramatic tension, that's why they decided to do it at that moment.
Because when she actually screamed, like, I've released the secret, I was feeling like, man, it's too late. He's already solar flaring. And I was thinking of kind of his early solar flares where he didn't have a lot of control over it.
Right.
So I was thinking like, Lois, you released the secret and it's too late anyway. But actually, he was able to like gather himself in, grab the stuff, beat the guys away from him, and get out of there. So maybe it wasn't actually too late. Like,
I
he
think
was
so,
actually
They were just doing it for effect. And I mean, like, honestly, I like the issue a lot better than the last one. I thought it had a lot more, I don't know, it just seemed to flow better than the other issue.
Mm-hmm. And then it worked out well where he was able to break out, and then they get to have one more moment. And I thought that was an emotional moment when he's angry that she revealed the secret. And he kind of is always confident that, like, I would have figured something out. It's like, he was in a pretty tough situation. It wasn't clear what he was going to figure out. He was just going along with Hoarder's demands at that point.
Yeah. Totally off topic, too, but I forgot to mention, too, I liked the part earlier where she stabbed him with the fork. Like, stuff that, just to show how his powers are, if they're working or not, was kind of cool.
Yeah, and that was a nice moment. It was well written, too, where they were having this emotional conversation, and then all of a sudden he says, would you stab me with this fork?
Yeah.
And so that was just a nice little moment that they had. So, yeah, I thought that was good, too.
Yeah, like, overall, maybe it's just because the last issue I was really disappointed with. I just seen this one's a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to me it did have, like, that was a good conversation, so that, and the bringing in the Action Comics reference to the electrocution and the torture.
Yeah.
I thought that made it, at least from an emotional standpoint, we could understand why Lois would do that. She felt like she had to do something to save him from what he was going through. Mm-hmm. Even if she maybe would regret it later, which we did see in the Divergence 8-pager that she did regret it later. She like thought maybe, did I do the right thing? I'm not sure. But in the heat of the moment, that's what I did.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we get the flip of the emotion. Like, so Lois and Clark had connected earlier in the issue, and then at the end they disconnect. Like Superman says, like, I wish that you didn't know my secret. I wish that I hadn't gotten so close to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah,
now I didn't like the art at that point when Superman like jumps away and he's like a black silhouette with red eyes, and he's like this. To me, he looks like a different superhero, like leaping
right.
forward like that.
Yeah, I would say the stronger points of the art in the issue are earlier when he's talking to her in her place, and the characterization was well done in those scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the art, though, there's Bleeding Cool has reported that John Romita Jr. might be exiting the book in the near future.
Mm.
So it's not confirmed by DC Comics yet, but Bleeding Cool said that John Romita Jr. was offered another gig that was very appealing, and so John Romita Jr. didn't want to pass it up. So the rumor or the report from Bleeding Cool is that Howard Porter might replace him on Superman.
Oh, that'd be
I
an
don't.
interesting choice.
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with Howard Porter. I know he's doing like the Justice League 3000 or 3001 or whatever it is now.
Yeah, like he got some acclaim when he did the first. Yeah, I think he did quite a few issues on the first Justice League book with Grant Morrison did JLA years ago.
Oh.
So his artwork's pretty good. Like at that point, Superman had long hair and stuff, but he drew a decent, pretty much all the characters in there. I'm just interested to know what the timeline's going to be when they finish this. I wonder if it's going to jump ahead and it'll match up with the other books after, because then that kind of makes sense if they're going from the John Romita stuff to somebody else. But if it's taking place like right after, it might seem kind of jarring.
Yeah, so like we're supposed to have one more issue of this arc, and then so after that issue, yeah, do they jump forward to the front of everything of the truth, or do
Yeah.
they just continue on from that one? I'm not sure how they're going to handle that.
Well, at least it's been coming out pretty regularly now. That's good too.
Yeah, they're getting into a little bit of a groove here. So,
Yeah.
all right. So for me, some ups and downs in this issue. For you, a stronger one, an uptick. So maybe they are setting it up for something in the next issue. The next one, I'm not really sure what's going to be a culmination to this in terms of a 4-part arc.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like stuff's just going to kind of be ongoing, and maybe that's the whole point of it, is just to set up the truth stuff that you can then go see in all the other books.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do, because there's got to be more of a reason, with his powers being, more gone and things like that. So maybe we'll get some more explanation of that.
Yeah, and then is the Hoarder stuff wrapped up, or is Hoarder still going to be around after the next issue?
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully it's going to, turn into something pretty good.